Emma and Jake had waited 5 long years for the pitter-patter of little feet in their home. When their daughter, Lily, was born, it felt like the universe had finally answered their prayers. They painted the nursery in soft pastels, hung stars from the ceiling, and installed a baby monitor to keep a close eye on her. But Lily wasn't their only child. They also had Max, a gentle, elderly German shepherd they had rescued 8 years ago. Max had always been sweet, loyal, calm, and incredibly protective. When Emma was pregnant, Max would rest his head against her belly as if listening to the heartbeat of the baby inside. That's why what happened next shook them to the core. It started the second night Lily was home. As they placed her in her crib and turned off the light, Max sat just outside the nursery door, his ears alert. Minutes later, he let out a low, menacing growl, the kind that raised the hairs on the back of Jake's neck. At first, they brushed it off. Maybe he was just adjusting to the new sounds of the baby crying or the shifting routines. But then it happened again. Every night, at exactly 2:14 a.m., Max would wake from his spot in the hallway, approach Lily's room, and growl, staring into the shadows. Emma, once reassured by Max's presence, began to feel uneasy. Maybe he's jealous, Jake whispered one night. Or worse, maybe he senses something we can't, Emma replied, hugging Lily tightly. They began to question everything. Was Max turning aggressive? Could he be a danger to Lily? Emma cried the night Jake suggested they keep Max outside during bedtime. He's been with us longer than we've been married, she said, voice shaking. But they had to prioritize their daughter's safety. Still, something about Max's behavior didn't sit right. He wasn't trying to attack Lily, he was warning them. He'd stand at the door, tail rigid, growl, and refuse to move until morning. That's when Jake decided to check the baby monitor footage. Jake sat on the living room couch, Lily in his arms and a hot cup of coffee by his side. He scrubbed through the previous night's footage, watching Max's predictable behavior. At 2:14 a.m., there he was, ears up, lips curled, growling. But then Jake noticed something else. A shadow. Just behind the crib, for a brief second, a dark, flickering shadow moved across the nursery wall. At first, he thought it was a glitch, but as he rewound and slowed it down frame by frame, his stomach dropped. The shadow wasn't from anything inside the room. It was a person. A tall figure moving quietly in the dark, near Lily's crib, before vanishing as Max approached the door. Jake's heart pounded as he stared at the screen. This wasn't his imagination. He immediately called the police. Within hours, a team arrived and inspected the house. What they found sent chills down everyone's spine. The attic hatch in the hallway directly above Lily's room had scratch marks and signs of recent use. Dust had been disturbed. Hidden behind boxes in the attic was a small sleeping bag and food wrappers. Someone had been living above their ceiling. The man was caught the next night when police set a silent trap. He was a drifter with a long history of mental illness and trespassing. No one knew how he had snuck in, but he had been coming down every night, trying to get close to Lily. Max's growls were never out of aggression. They were warnings. Emma sobbed when the truth came out. She wrapped her arms around Max and whispered over and over, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Max, calm as ever, rested his head on her lap. He had done what dogs do best, protect their family even when no one believed him. From that day on, Max was never left outside again. He was a hero. Years later, Lily would hear the story of how her loyal dog kept her safe from a hidden threat she never even knew existed. And every time she looked into Max's gentle eyes, she knew she was looking at her guardian.